Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're diving into something that is often overlooked when it comes to relationship: self-respect. And to do that, we're using Rent a Girlfriend as a perfect example of why having self-respect is not just important, it's absolutely essential if you want a healthy and a balanced relationship. Now, before you start thinking that this is just another let's talk about Kazuya video, let me make something very clear. I'm not here to defend the protagonist. In fact, I'm here to tell you why Kazuya is a prime example of how a lack of respect can absolutely destroy someone and the relationships around them. So stick with me, because this isn't just about one character, it's about a deeper, more universal issue we all face. How does self-respect shape our relationship, and why we should all prioritize to avoid the pitfall Kazuya falls into? Good day everyone, my name is Richard, back again with another video, and in today's video we're talking about how Rent a Girlfriend exposes the danger of no self-respect. So if you like this video, you know what to do. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. Also, make sure you click the notification bell so you know anytime I do drop a video. I'll really appreciate that. And we're trying to reach 1,500 subscribers, so I'll really appreciate if you do like, share, and subscribe. So let's break down what self-respect really means. At its core, self-respect is about having a sense of worth and dignity. It means not allowing yourself to be treated poorly by others or tolerating a situation that compromises your values. It's knowing your boundaries, being honest with yourself, and more importantly, not allowing your happiness to be entirely dependent on others. In relationships, self-respect is the foundation. You can't build something healthy if you don't have the internal balance and sense of worth first. It helps you set the tone of how others treat you, and more importantly, how you treat others. And yet, Rent a Girlfriend shows us the danger of neglecting that respect, especially when it comes to our protagonist Kazuya. Alright, let's talk about Kazuya, the protagonist of the show. From the get-go, we see that he doesn't have a clear sense of self-worth. He's emotionally unstable, insecure, and more importantly, he uses Mizuhara and the whole Rent a Girlfriend setup as a way to fill a hole in his heart. And this is where things start to go wrong for him and everyone around him. First of all, Kazuya's inability to accept his own flaws lead him to constantly compare himself with others, especially his ex-girlfriend Mami. Instead of focusing on his own growth, he's obsessed over what others think, which creates a toxic dynamic with Mizuhara. His constant dependence on her for validation just shows how deep his lack of self-respect runs. But the most telling sign is how he treats Mizuhara. He doesn't see her as an independent person, he treats her as an object for his own comfort, hoping that she would someday fill the emotional void inside him. Technically, he's a simp. This is exactly what happens when you let somebody else's treatment of you define your worth. What's so painful to watch is that Kazuya doesn't take responsibilities for his action. Instead of owning up to his feelings or taking control of his life, he lets his insecurities control him. And that's where the self-destruction behavior starts, spiraling into a circle of disappointment, miscommunication, and toxic attachment. So now this is when we ask ourselves a couple of questions, like, why is this such a big deal? And why should we care? Well, because Kazuya's behavior is a perfect example of how a lack of self-respect can destroy relationships. When you don't value yourself, you let others treat you poorly. You fall into an unhealthy pattern of behaviors like seeking external validation, over-apologizing, or tolerating disrespect. In Rent a Girlfriend, Kazuya's self-worth is entirely tied to external sources. He doesn't have enough confidence to make decisions based on his own principles or need. He constantly seeks others' approval, whether it's Mizuhara affection or Mami's validation. And this isn't just limited to his relationships with women, it's evident in his friendship, his family's interaction, and his overall self-image. Compare Kazuya to characters who have a better sense of self-respect. Somebody like Kazama, which I would say is somewhat cringe, but the reason why I'm using him as a very good example is because Kazama from Konosuba is a very flawed character, but one thing that he does have is his own self-respect. And this is the reason why I'm comparing the two of them together, because Kazama is not a perfect character, but the fact that he has his own self-respect makes him a much more better character than someone like Kazuya. Someone who knows their worth won't let themselves be treated like a doormat, nor would they keep repeating patterns of behavior that undermine their self-esteem. Instead of feeding into their insecurities, they grow from them, learn to set boundaries, and respect their time and emotion. Now, the consequences of Kazuya's lack of self-respect are devastating. Not only does this damage his personal growth, it also hurts his relationship with Mizuhara. she too gets dragged into his emotional roller coaster. Now, I'm not saying that Mizuhara is also a good character, because she too has a flaw, and honestly speaking, I feel that she is a glorified gold digger. I feel that she is as scummy as Kazuya himself, but that's a topic for another day. He projects his insecurities into her, forcing her into an emotional labor role she never signed up for. It's this lack of balance that creates a toxic dynamic between them. And that's what we all see as readers. Kazuya's emotional dependence on Mizuhara leads to this ongoing tension where he constantly seeks affection and validation, even when it's not appropriate or healthy for either of them. In the long run, this leads to a feeling of resentment, burnout, and confusion. Not only for Kazuya, but for Mizuhara as well. The relationship becomes emotionally exhausting because one party is not contributing to it in a healthy or balanced way. But in this situation, I would say that both parties are not actually contributing to this relationship. That's why it's so infuriating seeing them trying to make this relationship work when you truly know deep down this is a truly toxic relationship. Now, let's talk about how we can actually cultivate self-respect in our own lives. The first step is acknowledging your worth regardless of what others think of you. No matter your past or your mistake, you have value. Accepting that is very crucial. Next, it's about setting boundaries. When you respect yourself, you don't tolerate people or situations that drain your energy or make you feel inferior. You learn to say no when necessary and not feel guilty about it. Also, be honest with yourself. Don't put your happiness in someone else's hand. That's exactly what Kazuya does. He lets his sense of self-worth be completely determined by Mizuhara's action. True self-respect means that you can find contentment in your own company, your growth, and your own achievement. Finally, always keep learning and growing. Self-respect isn't static. It's something you build and strengthen over time. And like anything valuable, it requires maintenance and care. You can't expect to have a healthy relationship without being your whole self. So what's the takeaway here? Well, I believe that Rent a Girlfriend is more than just a rom-com. It's a warning. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when you let your lack of self-respect dictate your relationship. Kazuya might not be the greatest protagonist, but it serves a bigger purpose, showing us the pitfalls of emotional dependence and the importance of valuing yourself first. At the end of the day, if you don't respect yourself, you'll never be able to build a strong, healthy relationship with anyone. And that's the message I feel this anime is trying to tell us. Now, why did I create this video? It's because I saw the latest manga of Rent a Girlfriend, and truly I could not stop myself from laughing because this is so sad and very ironic. The fact that he spent so much on her, the fact that he seemed so hard for her, and at the end of the day, she still rejected him, just shows exactly what I'm talking about. Self-respect is real, and as a man, a woman, a child, as anyone, you really need to value your self-respect. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with how Kazuya's lack of self-respect affects his relationship? How do you think the manga handled the theme of self-worth? Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you click the notification bell so you know anytime I do drop a new video. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, we're trying to reach 1,500 subscribers. So if you do like the content, make sure you do like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, and also you can check out my Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist tier list. I'll drop the link down in the description, and you can also see it at the ending of this video. Until next time, take care of yourself and your self-respect. Peace.